Hello loves, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be breaking down the new moon in Libra that's happening on September 25th collectively, and the messages. We're going to be looking at the astrology, tarot, oracle, all of the things. And you guys know I like to throw in a little bit of a spell guide as well, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what you should be working on. But before we get started, I just want to remind you guys to make sure that you get your tickets for the 1-hour community Reiki and guided meditation that we're going to be doing on the 23rd. There's 2 days left to get tickets, so make sure that you get your tickets. That's going to be this month's workshop. I wanted to specifically just focus on doing some energy healing for the collective because I feel like we need a little healing, especially to just end Virgo season with a bang. So yeah, definitely make sure you get your tickets down below. And also, you guys have till the 25th, so on the new moon in Libra, to use the code Libra New Moon in all caps for 33% off all of my services. So if you need a reading or anything like that, you can go ahead and book. My website will be down below. Now, with that being said, we're going to go in and start breaking everything down because we need to talk about it. Okay, so first, as we always start with the planetary positions, because you guys know how we do. So the sun will be in Libra, moon in Libra, Mercury will be in Virgo, Venus in Virgo. Mercury is in retrograde, obviously. I think everybody knows that. Mars will be in Gemini, Jupiter in Aries in retrograde, Saturn in Aquarius in retrograde, Uranus in Taurus in retrograde, Neptune in Pisces in retrograde, and Pluto in Capricorn in retrograde. So basically everything is in retrograde. Pretty much everything, all of the generational planets are in retrograde. There's a lot of work that's being done. We will be coming out of retrograde season soon-ish, like throughout fall to the winter, but it's going to take some time. There's still a lot going on, and the energy is not the nicest at this point in time. There's a lot of push, but there is a lot of good happening because of the retrogrades as well. There's a lot of changes happening. There's going to be a lot of recalibration, getting on the right path. Like there's a lot of that happening. So that's a good thing about the retrogrades, but they don't always feel good, right? We're not always just gonna like feel good about what is happening. So starting off with the sun in conjunction to the moon, we have a sun in conjunction to the moon and a sun in conjunction to Mercury as well, and a sun in conjunction to Venus. So there's a lot of alignment when it comes to our ego, and when it comes to, especially when it comes to the Libra energy, that air energy, how we're mentally feeling. We're definitely going to be coming out of Virgo season being a lot more mentally clear on certain things. That's also came up in the tarot. We're going to talk about it in a few, but there's a lot of mental clarity. The retrogrades are really pushing us to be in alignment. If you have not watched my weekly healing circle, I highly recommend that you watch the weekly healing circle because we talked a lot about the forecast for this week and how things were going to play out in the long run. So I highly recommend, making sure you watch it. But when it comes to the sun in conjunction to the moon, it is a time, and in all of these conjunctions, it is a time where there is that kind of unifying energy where, yes, the retrogrades are doing a lot, but we are feeling with the sun's energy that our ego, our willpower is like feeling a little bit more directional as far as the things that we want to focus on, the things that we want to put our energy into, the things that are meaningful to us. That's being a little bit more centered and more in alignment and feeling a little bit more clear on. Now, the sun will be in an opposition to Jupiter and Neptune, as well as the sun will be in a trine with Pluto. So there's a lot of transformations happening based on the decisions and how we're feeling passionately about certain things. But there's also a kind of neglect on the understanding, or even certain things that we've come to understand, or there might be a lack of understanding of certain things that you're still trying to process. With the sun in opposition to Neptune, don't ignore. If you're doing divination, if you're trying to get a channeled reading, if you're like booking a reading with someone, or you're looking for guidance or something like that, and you are told, hey, this is what's coming up, this is the energy that's coming up, if you ignore that, you might actually get yourself into a situation. And I say that because a lot of the time when there is when the ego is involved, we have a way of like self-preservation with our ego, where we feel hit within our ego, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, oh my God, our ego is just like, oh, wounded because we got hit or something like that. But the truth and the reality is that the divination is there, and your intuition is there to really make your ego feel comfortable with the changes that are happening. It's just that a lot of people don't like seeing it that way, and they end up frustrating themselves. So it's important to not, pushed against the guidance that you're being given. So you're asking for support from your spirits, your ancestors, your guides. Don't just kind of like push away and be like, oh, that's not really what I want, or that's not, like at the end of the day, it is important to analyze things and check yourself when you are actively getting in your own way. And I tell you guys this all the time because I think it's important to make sure you have that self-awareness. If you don't have that self-awareness, then you're going to end up getting yourself in this whole situation that's not going to be beneficial for you later, and that will end up, getting in your way to some capacity, and then you're going to have to deal with the consequences of that action. So it's important to make sure that you're not going against the guidance, and that you are, being open-minded, especially with that sun in opposition to Jupiter. It's about being open-minded to the guidance at hand, the knowledge at hand, the things that the direction at hand, especially if you are the one choosing where you're going, but your spirits are like, hey, but also keep this in mind, pay attention to this. Don't just not think that there are certain changes at hand, because they're there. That sun trine Pluto is going to be very, very transformative to our egos, to the things that we want. You might change your mind about certain things, you might switch your perspective. There's a lot of things happening, and so you have to make sure that you are feeling like you are being analytical, okay? Be a little bit analytical about the way that you are going about, absorbing things. Don't just kind of take things that just feel good, but actually be analytical, okay? But with the sun trine Pluto, there's a lot of transformations happening right now. There's a lot of people getting back in order with themselves, and it really comes down to that. It's about getting back in center, getting back on task, getting back on the journey, getting back on that road with yourself, and really staying the course. Like, that's really what it comes down to collectively too. Now, the moon will be in conjunction with Mercury, and it will be in conjunction with Venus, but it will be in an opposition with Jupiter and Neptune as well. But the moon will also trine Pluto. So the same thing that's happening to our ego is also happening emotionally. And so when it comes to our emotion and our intuition, there are times where we push against the knowledge that we actively know that is the truth, but we're still pushing against it. We're still like fighting it. We still don't want to accept it. We still don't want to come to terms with it, or like actually sit with those decisions. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to, Libra season is a season of justice, balance, recalibration. It is a season of getting your shit together. And it's a cardinal season, okay? It is a cardinal season. It's action-based, action-oriented. So that pushed into that push that we're going to get into of having a purpose and getting back on track is absolutely in alignment with Libra season and cardinal energy, because that's really what the goal is. This is the last cardinal energy before we get to Capricorn, and then it's the end of the year. So it's important to have that check-in where you're like, okay, I need to stay on task. I need to stay on, like, what I need to do is what I need to stay doing. I can't just like fall to the wayside or not, like do what I need to do. I need to stay on course. And if something is distracting me or something's getting in my way of that, then I need to make sure that I am having the self-awareness. That is important. Now, Mercury will also be in conjunction with Venus, and Mercury will also be in opposition to Jupiter, and in opposition to Neptune, as well as Mercury will be in a trine with Pluto. And so there's a lot going on with our ego, our emotion, and our minds, right? And they're very much feeling very similarly to how we're going to be reactive to our circumstances. You might be mentally feeling very, very clear on, especially Mercury trine Pluto, mentally feeling very clear and feeling kind of very grounded with some decisions that you're making, and things that you are feeling very decisive about. But it is still, you still have to make sure again that you are actively on the same page and that you're also listening to the guidance. Not listening to the guidance can trigger a huge transformation as well. And we can see that with the Venus trine Pluto that's also happening. The energy of Venus trine Pluto is very passionate. It can be a little obsessive. It can be, Venus is also in an opposition to Neptune. There's a lot happening within relationships. There's a lot happening for some people that are kind of moving in a different direction. There's a lot happening to create change and to create a mental kind of opening or a mental shift, or, you know, to open up the door or a new path into something else. There is a just... that Venus trine Pluto can make someone feel very obsessive if something is ending. It can make something, and I'm not really even surprised why the first card that came out was the Death card, Scorpio energy. I'm not surprised that that's happening, because Pluto, the way Pluto's moving for this particular new moon is impactful. And when Pluto was just like dancing like this with one of the personal planets in this way, especially Venus, it can make people feel very obsessive or very possessive or very like triggered into transforming. And it could, while one person is going through one thing of emotion, the other person could be going through a whole nother thing of emotion. It's a lot. The energy can be really dense. It can be very frustrating. It can be very also sensual. It can be a lot of, this is a great time to do some sensual healing and to work on some sensual or sacral healing, and clearing up anything that, you know, needs to be cleared up energetically down there. But it can be a time where we release, but it can also, for some, the energy can manifest in some of the negative attributes of Plutonian energy, which is like obsession, manipulation, possession, type of energies, where, you know, if one person is going in one direction, the other person might feel like they need to stop them for whatever reason or whatnot. And so it can be a lot emotionally, but there's definitely a clarity for some people as far as how they're feeling about it. Keep in mind that we're still under Mercury retrograde, so there's still a lot of transformations that are happening mentally, still a lot of decisions that are happening, and so you have to be very clear on that. We're not in the clear out of Mercury retrograde yet. Mars will be in a trine with Saturn, so literally actions have consequences, okay? Actions have karmic consequences. There are things that are happening because things were said or done or felt. There are things that are happening because certain things were expressed, because certain things, conversations happen, certain moments happen. There are things that are going to, it's a reactive energy. Mars is a planet of action, and Saturn is a planet of restriction and karma and time. So the things that you do within time, it can move or open your path or close your path in different ways. And right now you're going to be able to see the aftermaths of those situations happening and how your path shapes up in the new direction. Mars will also be in a square with Neptune, and Saturn will be in a square with Uranus. So there's a lot of, when it comes to, again, the spirituality and the divination, there's a lot of things that you might have been told from months ago. It could have been like a reading that you got like 3 months ago or something like that. Certain things are coming to pass right now that are not necessarily the easiest to navigate, but are happening regardless of how easy they are to navigate. And generationally, we're still going through a lot. There's still a lot of shifts that we are doing as a people. We're going through a lot collectively. There's a lot of different issues socially that are happening right now that are very important and that people have different feelings about. That's just the way it is. That's just the way everything's going down. And so when it comes to processing that, when it comes to coming to terms with that, when it comes to the point now where we are at that change, it's a very transformative time, and it's not going to feel good for everybody. So you have to make sure that your self-care is on point. Highly recommend working with the water element as well as elements of air, because it's going to help you to navigate the energy a little bit easier. You're going to be able to kind of shift things mentally and emotionally. You need to make sure that you try to be as grounded as possible during this time, because there's still a lot of decisions that are being made. Like even when we look at the tarot for this specific moon, we're getting the Death card, the Page of Cups, the Ace of Swords, right? Then we're getting the Queen of Pentacles, the Fool, and then our outcome is that Seven of Pentacles. And the reason why this is set up this way is because, y'all, Libra season, Libra moon, right, ruled by Venus, okay, planet of love, pleasure, and money, ruled by Venus, okay. There is an aspect of Libra energy that while it rules justice and balance and all these kind of things, it still wants to feel comfortable and grounded and still wants to feel good. Okay, still wants to feel good, especially in the physical realm. Some of you have been struggling and wanting to get back on track within the physical realm, and now it's like you're on track and on in that road into getting balance there. So that's really what it's coming up to. It's like you're getting out of a lot of like the decisions, the things that are being transformed, the things that are being released, the things that are being shifted are actively making space. The intentions that you're setting and being really clear with yourself, like fresh start energy, this is very much giving a fresh start energy, are preparing you for this, not only this new journey, but to be grounded in the way that you want. That's really what it comes down to. It's a grounding in the way that you want to be grounded in, that maybe you haven't been grounded in a while. And so it's something that is meant to be beneficial for you, and you're just like, perspective, it comes down to, I want to be clear-headed. It's almost like a cleanse. Like I feel like some of you are very much just doing cleanses. It might feel like a whole entire reset. It might feel like you want to do a spiritual bath, or you want to just do a smoke cleanse or some healing, or you just want to mentally, like, you might say affirmations, however you want to set that new intention for the course that you're trying to be in. Some of you are just, it's a reset. It's a complete different reset. Now when it comes to our oracle cards, we got purification. Purification. By purifying your life of negative people, places, and experiences, you attain true peace. Like when I'm telling you, like, this is a great time for a spiritual bath. This is a great time to just cleanse your house, clean your house, do a reset, like change things up. This is a great time to just do things a little bit differently than it has been done before. It's just a great time to kind of get back in center and like just really change your perspective and just like, whew, in the past, just let it be. That is what it is, right? Then we have wise soul. Your soul carries ancient wisdom. Please embrace it as you have the knowledge to help those around you, okay? This is important, especially when it comes to ancestor work, because there's a reason also why we're getting the death card, because a lot of you guys as muertos, a lot of you guys as ancestors have actively been trying to get y'all back on track to the grounding that maybe they didn't have, or that you are actively correcting, that you're actively healing generationally. Don't forget Saturn squaring Uranus, okay? There's a way that the old generation has impacted the new generation, and how Uranus is pushing us as the new generation to transforming a lot of that, you know, grounding and a lot of the things that have been passed down to us collectively. And so there's a lot of wisdom within the message, in the connection within our ancestors, but there's also a lot of things that are being healed by you just living your life that they could have not done in their time. So you have to also think about that when you're also thinking about, okay, the focus is balance and justice, and bringing that balance, that perspective. How am I doing that? How am I bringing balance? Were your ancestors privileged enough to be in this position, to be able to choose, to be able to decide, to be able to shift? You have to think about that too. You are constantly breaking generational cycles, so keep that in mind. Then we have uplift your thoughts, especially because some of these aspects can be very triggering. It says focus your attention on the many blessings that surround you. By doing so, you let go of depression, poor self-esteem, and excess weight. Some of you might feel like doing a reset, especially when it comes to how you've been treating yourself. You might be eating a little bit different, or might have a different kind of goal for yourself for the next upcoming months, and kind of just wanting to get back and grounded and centered with yourself. And that's perfectly and totally fine. It's just up to you to figure out how you want to uplift yourself and ground yourself. And that's really what's going to come down to. It's going to move into, I need to make sure I'm feeling good. I need to make sure I'm good at the end of the day. That's really what it comes down to. And that is the point. That is the point. Your self-care is the most important thing. Then we have new idea. Your new idea is divinely guided, and it is meant to be shared with others. Continue to work on it as you are on the right path. Some of you, again, that path that you've been it's really about you guys getting back on track with yourselves. I really want you guys to understand that it's about you guys getting back on track. It's about you guys being in alignment with what that calls you, what the energy that it calls from you, and really staying on course for that. Like, there's a reason, and you will figure out and you find out the blessings as you go through that journey of why you were meant to stay on that course. And then balance work, rest, and play. It's important for you to have fun along with fulfilling your responsibilities. Balance. All right, we're already getting the word balance thrown in here, right? Because that is very, very important. That's what's happening. There's a balance of our mind and our emotions here, and then because of that, there's going to be a grounding. So this specific moon is going to be very, very beautiful, if you allow it to be. If not, it's going to beat you silly a little bit. So then we have self-care. Okay, drowning doesn't always require water. Self-care. Some of you are actively like dense and need that breath of fresh air, and Libra season, being an air elemental energy and just season, is going to give you that breath of fresh air that you haven't had since Gemini season. Even though Virgo season, I always say they're grounded air, and it is a time for healing and a time for like just to recoup, but it can trigger a lot of healing that a lot of people, you know, might not feel comfortable with. So it's important to recognize that breath and needing that self-care. Guidance. Find safety in your beacon's light. Okay, guidance. And this is what I mean by a lot of the guidance that you're looking for, a lot of the guidance that have been told to you as well. If you have not gotten a reading or a forecaster reading or like a transit reading, I really recommend getting a transit reading right now, especially to know what's happening, like what's going to be coming up for the next 6 months, preparing for the next year over, getting through the retrogrades, all this kind of stuff. Very important. And then choose wisely. Be discerning. You don't have to keep everything in your net. Okay, what are you choosing? What are you going to spend your energy with? Right? That's why we're getting the re-energized, because we're re-energizing towards our passions, towards the things that we want, what we want to accomplish, where we're trying to head, really, like what we want to accomplish, what our goals are, what our dreams are, like how we're on track, like re-energizing our passion for that. Then we have trust. Because you should be having in full trust of the changes that are happening. You should also have full trust in your spirits, your ancestors, that you're going to get through it. Just trust. Memories, because Mercury retrograde, again, it's still very much triggering during this time. And some of you, those memories, those things that you're thinking about is what's going to trigger that shift as well. So just give yourself your time to reflect and do what you need to do with it. And then contentment, because that's really what it comes back down to. It's like about you being happy and you getting back on track. That is what's most important right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So that is the messages for this specific moon. I hope that you guys got all the messages that you needed. It's definitely going to be, I feel like, a nice break from a lot of the healing energies that we've been pushed into focusing on, but the retrogrades are not over yet. October is going to be a little busy. There are retrogrades that are ending soon, but there's still retrogrades going, and so the energy is very intense right now, but it is important to still focus on our self-care and make sure that we're good at the end of the day. Okay, so watch a movie, go do something for yourself, get your tickets for the energy healing, because that's going to be amazing. And just take a breath. Okay, take a breath. Okay, take a breath. Anyway, I love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Patreon down below. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. You guys are just the best. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.